I'm starting to get this sneaky, icky feeling that I don't even know if I want to admit it. But I think I'm going to here for you. I think that maybe the Trump administration might...
That they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
That wasn't perfectly timed, but you get the point. You get the point. He's better at the soundboard. I tried to do it myself. I took away his reins. It's just, of course, I'm going to be punished with that. But yeah, I don't know if they know exactly what they're doing. Before getting into an update, that's just, it seems everything goes wrong with this administration, including the strike on Iran. We'll get to that major update. But Trump is going to a NATO summit, and there's something pretty metaphorical, or this is representative of many of our allies' feeling of Trump, which is as his motorcade drives by, the Dutch in the Netherlands say, "We don't like you." Yeah, that just sums it up, I gotta say. Now, here is CNN reporting on, as we continue to follow. So that clip you saw of Trump at the beginning, obviously we covered on the morning show. That was after the ceasefire immediately was violated. And then he's saying, I don't think these two sides know what the F they're doing. And then he says, actually, we have peace and don't drop the bombs. And it was the biggest load of bombs, but we're going to do
the biggest load that we've seen.
And despite that, we're going to stop now. It's going to be peace. But so number one, I don't want him to do strikes that seemingly we're going to start a war, even if it was quickly resolved, without congressional approval. And if he is going to go there and put all of that risk on the line, hopefully it would work, right? I don't know if it did.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Can we get that on the show? This is Luke Beasley. as the one second, take it down. As our friend who, not really our friend, as someone who we had to copyright because he stole all of our video, said, this is what needs to be ready. This is Luke Beasley, breaking news. Yes, this YouTuber's gay, but whatever, lol. I'm here with breaking news. All right, sorry.
CNN Breaking News.
We have major breaking news into CNN. 3 sources tell CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back a few months.
That's right. So this is an assessment that actually is out from the Defense Intelligence Agency. That is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it was based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. CENTCOM after the strikes, according to one of the sources. Let's go to CNN national security correspondent Natasha Bertrand, who has this exclusive new reporting. This is to that question that has been asked about how much damage has been done. This is a real question. It's also a political question that has been to something that Donald Trump has been sort of dealing with here recently. What are you learning, Natasha?
Yeah, look, Brianna, this is the first assessment that we are getting that the U.S. intelligence community has found about the battle damage that resulted from those U.S. military strikes on these 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. And as you said, it was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it is worth noting that it is a very early assessment. The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence. They are still working to come up with a full, comprehensive picture of what exactly happened here. But based on a battle damage assessment that was carried out by U.S. Central Command, essentially looking at the images and looking at what was actually damaged, the Defense Intelligence Agency has assessed that the core components of Iran's nuclear program are largely intact, and that Iran's nuclear program has essentially only been set back by months. Now, we presented this information to the White House for comment, and White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt.
All right, let's pause there, and then we'll get to Levitt's response here in a second. I think you could imagine there's zero chance whatsoever that Trump, that Levitt, that anyone in the administration, Hegseth, is going to admit that this didn't go off like they told us that it did, which was if we're going to risk all-out war with Iran, and if Trump's going to do so without congressional approval, and we're going to risk further instilling hostility between us and them, then my goodness, it better work. And that was the promise, right? Not even the promise. That's what they said afterwards, was that they completely and totally obliterated, was the word, obliterated the nuclear program in Iran. And now we're getting word that it was very much not obliterated. You can take that down.
I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Maybe so. The U.S. military strikes on three of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program. This could have been because they were moving things since Trump was making so clear what he was going to do. Come on. You cannot truth social when you're going to war, right? But one person said the assessment is that the U.S. set them back maybe a few months tops. One of their intelligence sources said, maybe a few months tops, risking all of this, and who knows what the long-term consequences will be in terms of Iran's response. And all of that for maybe a few months tops, we're pushing back the nuclear program. The assessment, which has not been previously reported, was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon's intelligence arm. It is based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. Central Command in the aftermath of the strikes, which, again, this is early. But I feel like even an early assessment would be able to tell you if it was completely obliterated. That would be pretty clear, I think. Not a military expert, but that would be my guess. And now we're getting this information. So then what is the Leavitt response after they guaranteed us that it was a complete annihilation and that Iran...
What a stupid question.
Hey, chill.
Has essentially only been set back by months. Now, we presented this information to the White House for comment, and White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she did acknowledge the existence of this assessment, but she said in a statement that the administration disagrees with it. She said, quote, "This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter."
Okay, wait. Don't say this is discrediting the brave fight. Stop. That's not what this is. All the respect to the people who are following orders and risking their lives. That's not what this is about. This is about Trump's decision. But this is the situation we're in. We have defenders of Trump. Do you remember J.D. Vance going, "We're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program"? And it was just, what? And then later he went, "You see, I get why people would be weary of long Middle Eastern wars, but in the past we had dumb presidents. Now we have Trump." And then Leavitt going, "That was just some low-level loser." And then Trump going, "They don't know what they have." It's like we have a bunch of kids guiding us through this consequential world event. Can we not use dumb, what the F, loser when discussing this? And we came into this while Trump was going, "Yeah, my intelligence community is wrong. I do think they're imminently attaining a nuclear weapon. Yeah, my intelligence agency disagrees with me, but I think I'm right." And then he's doing it again now in the aftermath. So before and after, we're bookending this with his intelligence community saying one thing. The people who where else would Trump get his information? Fox News is the answer. But what is he seeing? His intelligence community is the people who give him the information to know what the status is of these things. "I called Iran myself, and they said obliterated. They said it was the biggest load I've ever seen. So big."
By an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration. Now, it is not
if you telegraph that for weeks.
worth noting here that there has been dissent, I should say, within the intelligence community, within the defense community about just how much of an impact these massive bunker buster bombs would actually have on Iran's nuclear facilities. It was far from certain, given that these bombs had never been tested in an actual combat scenario, whether they would actually penetrate those very, very deep underground tunnels that lie underneath these nuclear facilities. And what we are told is that as of now, this Defense Intelligence Agency assessment, it does conclude at this point, again, it is still very early, that those underground facilities, including the centrifuges, including the highly enriched uranium that everyone has been talking so much about, those are largely intact. Now, of course, this does stand at odds
with the president, yeah. So what was this for? What was this for? Now, as of now, I'm going to be honest with you. Signs are that this isn't escalating to something further, at least where things stand. There was a ceasefire immediately violated, but then maybe now. And Iran's response was very clearly them not wanting, it seemed, them not wanting to get into all-out war with us, which makes sense. So I'm not saying that this is why I don't do the World War III fear-mongering. We're not launching into World War III. And for Trump to take the act that he did, the unprecedented action that he did, and for us to learn that it maybe didn't even accomplish what he set out to accomplish, but still has the risk factors that we've discussed so thoroughly, you see why they're never going to admit it. It's interesting that Levitt it's interesting to confirm your intelligence agency indeed is assessing that, but then go, but Trump disagrees. He saw really, really good pictures. You should see the pictures. Boom. For don't go bye-bye. And then you have this, and this is one of the worst spokespeople I've ever seen in my life. Tammy Bruce. She's the one who gives these long, completely meaningless sentences. And I don't even know why she goes out to do press conferences. Like, she doesn't even say anything. I'm sure this is going to be, I haven't watched this yet. I'm sure there's going to be another example, but here's her being asked, what's the assessment as of now?
The president is saying it was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities to stop the war. As far as we know, the bomb damage assessment has not been done. The Joint Chiefs Chairman was talking about how long it might take. Do we have something more conclusive about destroying all of the nuclear facilities?
Well, a conclusive comment for me would be coming from the President of the United States. I have great admiration for you, Andrea Mitchell, but I think he might know more than you do at this point, more than I, more than any one of us here. At the same time, obviously, the information that we receive, that the American people receive, which will be public, will take some time. But President Trump has indicated his pleasure at the success of that raid, which obviously was very limited in scope. And that's a very good point, I think, at when it comes to the nature of what's occurred. And I'm pleased that the president is pleased. Sean Tand.
Thanks, Tammy. Can we watch it again? Please? Can we please watch it again? Jaden, can we please? Here, let me get this pulled up. This is when I learned of Tammy Bruce right here, and her mannerisms.
A lot of activity down here in the first row.
Something that's just come out from the president.
Yeah. All right, great, terrific.
The president has just written on Truth Social that Mike Waltz is going to become the new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
Well, there you go.
The National Security
Fabulous.
Advisor. And in addition to that, he says that in the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will...
Okay, so her answer to do we have any more comprehensive analysis of the outcome of this strike? And she says, well, the statement that I have is from the president, and you don't know. I don't know more than the president. And also, in addition to that, I will say that the pleasedness of the president makes me pleased, which should make you pleased. So that's her answer to that. Let's see what her answer to this administration shakeup was.
Will serve as national security advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department. Do you know how long he's going to be serving in both roles?
It is clear that I just heard this from you.
Yes.
This is the magic.
No heads up that this was
Well,
coming
I have some insights as to the potential of certain things that might happen. But when the president, and this, of course, is all presidential decision, so I'm with the State Department, it is, as I think would be clear to all of you, you don't want to get ahead of your skis in drawing conclusions or speculating about what may occur.
Yeah. Right. Oh, it stops there. It goes on so much longer, but it's so funny. What may occur from the standpoint of events as they subsequently lead to other events within the context of I'm at State Department, you're a person you told me, as we can see here, well done. And I'm pleased that you're pleased. So we laugh, but this is, you can't imagine. You could imagine it getting worse. And I'll be fair about the fact that I am glad it seems this isn't escalating as of now into something worse. But to be hearing that all of that was potentially not even accomplishing what Trump said that it was, even if we disagreed with the decision originally, if you're going to make that decision, it best work. I won't say who, somebody used to tell me, and they said that someone told them this: if you're going to get in a fight, you better win. Don't get in a fight. Be a lover, not a fighter. But if you're going to fight, you got to, that whole thing. Men stuff. And they were told growing up that if you better win, because if you come home and you lost, you're going to get a worse whooping than what you were going to get out there, right? That whole thing. Up and down the snow both ways, whatever. Up and up this. The phrases. All of them. We've heard them. Similarly, if you're going to do an potentially illegal strike, it better work. I think that's a reasonable request. And here we are. Maybe it didn't. Share your thoughts in the comments.